I never really planned on being a director, never planned on being a producer, certainly didn't ever think of having a production company. First show I directed, I got nominated for a Grammy. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do this from now on.
From rock legends to real lives, Daniel Catullo has filmed it all.
Foo Fighters, Alicia Keys, Andrea Bocelli, Mariah, Carey, Dave Matthews Band, Usher, and the list goes on.
But it's his Emmy-winning documentaries on hazing that hit the hardest. Raw, emotional, and unafraid to challenge a broken system.
I did Kiss in Dubai on New Year's Eve in 2020, and our crew was almost 850 people, and that was a little over a $10 million production. It took us like 6 weeks just to build the stage.
Yeah, that's wild.
My whole company basically got decimated by a pandemic, so I'm like super depressed and in a dark hole, and then I would just go on Instagram or TikTok. I met Clara and her family. They actually kept me out of a depression, but there was always such uplifting, amazing content.
It's been rumored that you have a few superstitions and rituals that you follow for each show. Did you bring new sneakers and Godzilla today?
So, you know, I have OCD, and it always...
You have been the recipient of many awards. What achievements are you most proud of?
I do a lot of work in hazing. Like, I hate bullies. I won 3 Emmys in a row for my work in hazing. I think my work that I do in that field is probably the most meaningful stuff to me.
If you had one single message to share with the world, what would it be?
Hey folks, hope we're doing well. Thank you so much for tuning into the Inclusion Matters podcast. If you like what you hear and you really, really believe in what we do to any degree whatsoever, or if anything we have said has had a positive impact on you today, please consider subscribing to be in the know about everything and to help us boost the algorithm so we can spread our message even further. Tune in, guys. Love you. Cheers.
Hey friends, it's Clara. Just a quick note, if you hear some silent parts in the podcast, it's because I'm using my AAC tablet to find the right words. It takes a little time. And to be honest, we don't have the funds right now for a fancy editor to cut everything perfectly. So, thanks for sticking with us and for listening.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Inclusion Matters podcast. We are your hosts, Aiden Boyer and Clara Woods. And we are here for episode 3, featuring Daniel Catullo.
Hello.
We're very, very, very excited to talk to Daniel today. We both love what you do in different ways for various reasons. I am so honored to have met you a couple years ago when Clara's family came out to my first ever full-blown public full band concert in a very, very small, kind of hot studio space, very, very low budget. And after doing a lot of research about what you do, it's just amazing to get to know you. And those pictures turned out epic, by the way. So thank you again so much for those images.
Likewise, I have just as much respect for what you guys do. So.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so honored. So I'm really, really stoked. How are you feeling? She got me a tie this morning, like a literal tie that has a painting on it, and he's rocking the Clara kicks, and just the fashion and the expression, the self-expression is just going absolutely full throttle right now.
These were my birthday present last year. Was it my birthday? You gave these to me. I think it was a year or 2 ago. She gave these to me for my birthday.
Yeah. They're so amazing. I need to get myself a pair of those. So that's your next assignment. You have to make me a pair of... I'm just kidding. No pressure. You got me the tie, but if you really will? Well, okay, we'll discuss that part later. But, no pressure or anything. Please make me kicks. I'm just kidding. But, So, yeah, the self-expression's going full throttle today. It's absolutely amazing to get to know you as well, and also to see the bond that you guys already have with each other. And I know that you're working on something featuring her, and I definitely can't wait to talk a little bit about that as well. A lot of the questions that I've come up with for today are kind of maybe the slightest bit selfish because living my dream, and ultimately my goal is to get to that point where I can put on these massively high budget productions with my full band and play for an absolutely massive audience of people. And so my questions will be going in that realm, but because of that, and because I recognize that a lot of these questions are for myself, I also know that you have way more questions and a lot more valuable things for just people overall, as opposed to just me and any aspiring touring singer songwriter. So I think it would probably be best if I let you kick things off right off the bat. What you got for us?
I heard you got a new office and a partnership with a company in Nashville. So exciting.
I
How's
did.
that going? What
But-
kind of projects are you working on?
So we finally, I've been looking for a new partner for a while now. We just merged with a company in Nashville called Big Plan Holdings, run by the Joseph family. They're basically a family office, a very wealthy and influential family in Nashville. They're doing a lot of music and film and TV investments, in hospitality as well, cannabis as well. But they did, they have the John Bon Jovi bar on Broadway in Nashville. They have a music publishing company, but I think we're the first like production company or TV and film investment, which is great. And what it did is it gave us resources now. I'm able to double my staff. We just moved our headquarters to Nashville. I actually go to Nashville tomorrow morning.
Oh,
I'm not looking forward to it. It's like 10 degrees there right now.
Yeah, they had a blizzard just now, I think.
It's
right?
so bad. But we just got our new offices and we're moving furniture in this week, and it's great. But it's actually good news for you because they really love the project that we've been working on, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And now I have even more resources to try to make it a reality. So
Yeah. I mean, I'd feel the same way if I had a whole documentary made about me, too. That's awesome. I see you've got the Tennessee hat, too.
Yep. Yeah.
Nashville is amazing. Have you ever been to Nashville before? I have some family there, and I've been there a couple times, and I reconnected with a few American Idol friends through there as well. So it was.
Have you performed there yet?
In Nashville? Not really. I performed. Actually, no, that's not true. I did perform at the Bluebird Cafe for their open mic. So I did.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. I don't know why I forgot about it. It was just because it was only one song, but like I got a last minute sign up for that. So
when you're going to come back, let me know because I have a lot of friends that own bars. But obviously, Josh owns the biggest place on Broadway. He also has Hank Williams bar as well. But they have a few places. But I know people at Tootsie's and a whole bunch of places. You should definitely play there.
I'm sure you do. You see, this is why I'm so excited because it's like so much intrinsic motivation there. But it is a rootin' tootin' good time of a place with a lot of country music, but also all genres too.
Yeah.
And
the whole industry is there now, and I think now with the fires, even more people. Just in the past week, I know people that are getting ready to move there. So
yeah, that's wild. I've asked myself, if Nashville's a place I want to be at, and for the foreseeable future, LA is still the pursuit for me. But we'll see. I love Nashville, and I love a lot of the people I've met there. So that's super exciting, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very stoked for you. You had just talked about. I think we should probably start covering the documentary that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
You have a question about that? You don't? No, I swore you did. I swore you did. It's somewhere in there. Okay, no, I guess not. It's okay. No problem.
It's probably like, when is it going to be done?
Yeah.
So I started following Clara and her family during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they would always make me smile because, things were a little crazy for all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And they actually kept me out of a depression, but there was always such uplifting, amazing content.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I actually turned my wife on to them, and she started following them. And then literally that day we were in Laguna Beach, and I turn around and she has an art gallery exhibit right across the street.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way. So I actually walked in the art gallery exhibit, and I saw Bettina, and I saw Carlo, and I went up and I introduced myself and got to meet Clara that day. And then we became friends, and then I pitched them on, hey, I think you guys would be a great show.
Yeah.
I don't really do reality. I do documentary and live music, but I know a lot of people in that space, and it's something my company's been looking to branch into.
Yeah.
So we started shooting. We put an idea together to put a show together with them, and we started shooting.
You feeling like a star yet?
Yeah. A couple months later, when they went to Art Basel, and there were a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Now I have to do a couple pickup shoots. We did some interviews, but because a lot's, look, she has this now.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much that's happened since we filmed that, and the
Yeah.
market's changed because it was really weird there for a little bit with the TV industry. No one really knew what to do post-pandemic. But I think we even have a better story now, watching Clara come into her own and growing up, and now she's over 18.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. So look for that soon. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of package it, and we have a little different concept, but I like where I want to take this now.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And you're going to be in it too, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I figured. I figured. Hey, I'd love that. Man. Get me some exposure.
We need music.
Yeah.
We need a theme song.
Hey, I mean, hit me up. I could use some money right now. That'd be Yeah, no, I love these ideas. That's so awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see it once it comes to fruition. That's amazing, man. All right, so I've got a few questions.
Sure.
And since and I guess we already covered one, how you and Clara met. But my first question is, I think would be a good one to kind of kick this off since we're still in the beginning stages. Give us a rundown of your career trajectory. Like how did, I know it's probably a big question, and you can definitely omit some details if you have to, but I'm very, very curious, like, how did you work your way up to being the CEO of this company that does documentaries and concert films and documentaries and work with all these celebrities on these massive budget, full-blown scale things? Like, how did you find your way into this situation? Like,
well, I could start by saying it wasn't planned.
Yeah, I figured.
And I grew up in a small town in New Jersey.
Yeah.
No one I really ever grew up, and none of their parents were in the entertainment industry. My dad worked for AT&T. My mom was a school teacher. So entertainment always felt like it was, a reach. But I grew up a musician like you. I played drums, I played piano. So if you would ask me what I want to do when I was 14 or 15, I would have said I want to be a rock star. But that's obviously a stretch.
Yeah.
It's a very tough world, as you know.
It is, yeah.
I started working in the industry in my late teens. I started working at the Meadowlands in Madison Square Garden as a stagehand. So that was kind of the first time I started working around real shows and making contacts.
Yeah.
And then I went to, believe it or not, I went to college to play football at West Virginia, of all things. So took me to left field turn.
Football in West Virginia.
Yeah, I played I was a kicker though, so it wasn't. But I went to college to, I got a football scholarship, went to West Virginia, and it was during college I really started getting into the whole promoting thing. Crazy enough, I opened up a bar and grill when I was only 19 while I was in college, and I was promoting shows with bands. Like I had the Lemonheads, I had bands come through my venue in Morgantown. And after college, I started going on the road. So I'm skipping, but I spent a good 8.5, 9 years touring with a lot of different bands, from Live to Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Frank Sinatra. And I did everything from be a stage manager to a lighting designer to eventually tour manager. And in the late 90s, actually it was 96, 97, I moved to California. And I became friends with the Gross family, Michael and Glennis Gross. Glennis became my partner. Her husband, Michael, was Ivan Reitman's partner. And Michael was the producer of Ghostbusters, Twins, Beethoven 1 and 2.
I recognize the last name Reitman.
Stripes, big movies. And she became my first investor. I had this crazy idea in the late 90s to buy a concert venue. So I went and raised money, and I bought the Ventura Theater, not knowing what I'm doing. I bought this big, 1,500 capacity theater. Tried to renovate it, thought I was going to spend a few $100,000 to renovate, and then walls started caving in from dry rot, and it turned out to be a couple million. But nonetheless, after that, we only had the theater for about 2 years because you weren't probably alive at this time, but in around 98, 99 was when the whole Live Nation thing was happening. And back then they made it very difficult for independent promoters to promote. And so we kind of had no choice but to get out of it. But the great thing was, I joked with Glennis, I said, hey, you know, I kind of corrupted you and gave you some fun time in music. Take me in the movies now. And so we started a film company in 2000, and it was originally called Monumental. And what we were going to do was we were going to develop low budget features and do like $1 million features. And somehow, I can't remember when we made the choice, but it turned into, well, I knew what happened. My friend Paul Geary was the drummer for Extreme. There was a band called Extreme that had a big hit in the heyday of More Than Words. And he started managing a band called GodsMack. And in 2000, GodsMack was blowing up. And Paul had a show in LA with GodsMack at the Avalon Ballroom, which back then was called the Palace. And I went down to the show, and I saw the show, and it was, you know, people were going crazy. And after the show, I met Sully, and he was telling me that they had their biggest show ever, their first arena show in Boston coming up at the Worcester Centrum. And so he's like, why don't you film my show? And I'm like, I'll do it. And so I went back and I told Glennis, I need $900,000. We're going to shoot a music DVD. They're like, what? And I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. And we threw it together, and it came out. It debuted at number 3 in Billboard, and then went to number 1 and went platinum. And then all of a sudden we started doing music DVDs. And I went to like Doug Morris at Universal. And back then, you know, in 2001, 2, 3, a music DVD sold like 5,000 copies. They didn't sell anything. And so I went to Universal saying, I want to do DVDs for all your artists and I'll fund them. And they were like, if you're going to fund them, you can do whatever you want. I said, great. Well, I want to own the copyright. And they signed off. And next thing you know, I did like Matchbox 20. We did Rush and Rio, which was massive. We did, Etta James.
Over that.
And it was like, and all of a sudden the market shifted and music DVD became a thing. So between like, especially 2003 and 2007, instead of selling 5,000 copies, we were selling 1 million.
Yeah.
And we put all these big hits out back to back. And I became a director during that by default. I was just producing at the time, and I was kind of learning the craft, but I became like a backseat driver of the directors. I would stand behind them in the TV truck, and I would yell over their shoulder, what about camera 3? What about camera 13? And I think I was driving directors crazy. And so I just started directing myself. And the first show I ever directed was Etta James. And At Last was my wedding song. And I wasn't supposed to direct that. We had another person directing it. But he got I think there was a snowstorm. I can't remember what happened, but his travel got delayed. So I said, I'll try to direct it. Yeah. And the first show I directed, I got nominated for a Grammy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this from now on. And so from that point on, with the exception of a few shows where I brought like Hamish Hamilton directed a few shows for us. He did like White Snake for me. He did Matchbox 20. But you know, Hamish now is like the biggest god in the world. He's like the GOAT. He does everything from the Super Bowl halftime show to the Oscars. But other than that, majority of what I've done over my career now, a few hundred shows, I've directed everything. So I never really planned on being a director, never planned on being a producer. Certainly didn't ever think of having a production company. I mean, if you would have, when I went to college, I wanted to be a lawyer. And here I am. So it's worked out okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy trajectory. It's definitely, you found yourself in this situation. Now, I feel like with you and I, we both have very, very clear-cut visions of exactly what we want to do. And who knows, maybe we'll find ourselves doing something slightly different after that, because right now I'm trying to achieve the rock star thing. But you know, whatever happens, happens.
Well, I didn't make you feel bad. I didn't have half the talent of either of you guys as a drummer. So, you know, you guys are doing pretty damn well for yourselves at your age.
Yeah,
your
I
career,
have to remind myself that. I feel like
Yeah.
we both have to remind ourselves that from time to time.
It could change in a moment. I mean, this business is majority luck.
Yeah.
And it's so, you know, and then one opportunity comes up and everything changes overnight.
Yeah, it's about like, and then there's like networking too, and I'll ask you more about that later. But in the meantime, you got some more questions. What you got?
What's your favorite ice cream? You said at Alicia Keys' concert, you had an ice cream truck for everyone working for you. So cool. How'd you even come up with that idea?
So I am, Clara and I have a lot in common. We're both kind of we're both addicted to ice cream. So I eat ice cream a lot, and so I was trained very early on. Always keep your crew happy, and so I'm kind of known. I bring ice cream trucks. I bring Mr. Softy truck out to all our shoots.
Yeah.
So she came. I did Alicia Keys like a year and a half ago at the Forum. When they came to the show, we had a Mr. Softy truck backstage. Yeah. And so my favorite ice cream, I'm still an OG. I like vanilla. Yeah. So, I have tons of flavors I love, but I like East Coast soft serve vanilla.
Yeah, man. It's so good.
I knew there was going to be an ice cream question.
No, I know there has to be. I mean, yeah. There's something to be said,
Did she tell you, do you remember, it was a year ago, I got the city to do a proclamation for her, but then I got Handel's Ice Cream to name an ice cream under that.
Yes, well, no, you didn't directly tell me this, but I saw this, and I saw some of the things you were doing, like, through that, and I was just like, what on earth? So, yeah, I mean, it's pure luck, maybe sometimes in terms of, like, the connections, but the fact that you know her, you're given these opportunities too, it's so amazing. It's just, I love it. I love it. Yeah, just going classic vanilla, classic. Every now and again I'll cave and just get the classic Haagen-Dazs dulce de leche, from the store, or just cookie dough, stuff like that. It's so great. You're gonna talk about this all day, and then I'm gonna be just like, But that's awesome. That is so amazing, and I'm pretty sure we should get ice cream after this.
You don't have to twist my arm; it'll be fine.
Amazing. All right. What you got next, Clara?
You have been the recipient of many awards. What achievements are you most proud of?
Believe it or not, I do a lot of work in Hazen. Like, I hate bullies.
Hell yeah.
So I became very involved in trying to end Hazen, with a focus on fraternity Hazen. So my last 3 Emmys, I won 3 Emmys in a row for my work in Hazen, and all 3 of those projects mean the world to me. I did 3 films about 3 boys who died. Nolan Birch with Breathe, Nolan Breathe, and then I did the Colin Wine story, and then I did Death of a Pledge about Adam Oakes. So those 3 projects, believe it or not, stand out over anything, just because they're meaningful, and we know that we actually know that we saved lives with those projects. So those are the things that, and I'm doing another Hazen project right now. I won't stop until the Hazen's gone, until mean people go away. But I think my work that I do in that field is probably the most meaningful stuff to me. Yeah,
definitely. I went to a college that didn't have any fraternities or sororities, so I got to avoid that, and that's definitely something that I would love to learn more about. When I have the capacity, I'll definitely take a look at those things. I looked at your reels and stuff, and so it's beautiful stuff.
It's fun to work with rock stars and do those big shows, and sometimes it is fulfilling, but like when you do something that's really meaningful, and you help kind of a family who's in pain, or you're making a difference doing that, that is far more meaningful and powerful to me than anything.
Totally understandable. That makes sense. It's always a person. It's one thing to have a personal sense of fulfillment, to do what you love with the rock stars, but then fulfillment in like the fact that you actually were able to save lives and help other people, qualities of lives and stuff like that. It's a whole different ballgame, definitely. I can definitely imagine that. Very, very, very interested in checking some stuff out. So great stuff, Matt. Great stuff. Okay, so my next thing is, since we were talking about that, obviously your job is pretty darn hard, it seems.
It can be, depends on who we're working with.
The ice cream probably helps, though. It depends on who you're working with. I'd love to ask you about that too. So because of that, I want to ask, have you ever said no to working with certain artists? You don't have to name the artists, but if so, why?
A bunch of times.
Yeah.
One of the great things about being older is you get to kind of, you're not as desperate to do things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to. I'm very fortunate now that I don't have to take jobs now because I need the money or whatever. You know, and there are a few artists that I would never work with again that are a little difficult. I'm very fortunate that I have a bunch of clients like Alicia Keys and GodsMack, who I've done multiple projects for each, and every time you work with them, it gets easier and easier. Like I just shot GodsMack again at Mohegan Sun Arena. We just did a big show with 24 cameras and 6K, and I literally just sent Sully the edit this weekend, and yesterday he got back to me, and he has like very few comments, you know, but it wasn't always like that. That took 26 years to get to that point with him.
Yeah.
But you know, some artists are just notoriously difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I did Nickelback back in 2006, and like Chad was just going through a really kooky time in his life, and you know, it took us a year to get him into an editing bay, and then I had to send a private jet to him to get him down from Vancouver. It was just like, it was like pulling teeth every step of the way. But back then, Nickelback was like the biggest band in the world.
Yeah.
And so my investors were actually more patient than I was, but we knew that once we got him to the edit bay and we got it approved, that it would come out and it would be number one. But, you know, chasing him was like, it was pure insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, my God, it was just, you know, and I think he's different now, but because back then, I guess he was more in his rock star phase.
Yeah.
It was like, but it was, you know, I generally don't do rap either. You know, every time I've worked with a rapper, you have to deal with all the posses, and it's just, I don't know. The two things that I'm not known for, I don't really work with female pop stars necessarily, because the shows with all the dancers and craziness, and then rappers, you know, I'm more known for rock and like things that are musicianship.
There's
and
Alicia
stuff.
Keys, though. I would say Alicia Keys would fit
But
that.
it's a little different though, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, Alicia's like a diehard musician.
Yeah,
You
she
know,
is. She is.
you know, not, you know, we don't have. I mean, I did Usher. I mean, I've done some pop, but
Yeah.
I much prefer someone with a band.
Yeah.
So,
As opposed to like a full-blown, full-scale, like Super Bowl type, you know, like with dancers and choreography and everything.
I did an ice skating special in Italy a few years ago called Intimissimi on Ice. It was with Andrea Bocelli, and this thing was like a $10 million ice skating special in the arena in Verona, Italy, and we literally had a cast of like 800. And the funny thing was, we're there filming it because I went in because Andrea brought me in, but the entire crew were like all Italian, and I'm Italian, but I don't speak Italian. And the stage manager's calling all the cues in Italian.
Yeah.
And like Vom 1, Vom 2, like they're calling, so that we had all these different areas where the ice skaters come in, and they're calling the cues in Italian, and I'm looking at my AD like, which door is that? Which door is that? Because at any given time there was like 100 ice skaters on the ice, and then we had performers popping up. It was the craziest production ever, and my head was spinning by the end of it.
Well, especially if it's Andrea Bocelli on ice. Like,
Well,
I can just...
no, they brought him up in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And he would just sit there and sing, and they would all, like, I forget, he was the gold medalist, the blonde-haired Russian ice skater. He's very, very famous. He was, like, the lead in it.
Yeah.
But it was just... It was crazy. I've never, like, I mean, because I'm so used to, like, I'm a musician. So when you're a drummer, we're used to leading the band.
Yeah.
So I can feel and read music. Like, I kind of know when the guitar solo's coming. I know when verses are coming. I have no idea when 500 ice skaters are going to do a jump. Or, I mean, it was a huge production, beautiful show.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd do something like that again.
Yeah. Like no shade to the show itself whatsoever.
No.
Just as far as, you know. Did you ever see anything like that when you were living in Italy? Yeah, I don't think anybody would see anything like that anymore.
But I did a show by where they used to live. So
Yeah.
I did another show with Andrea Bocelli in Florence.
Yeah.
At the Plaza Vecchio, which I think they lived right around the corner from there.
Yeah.
So they weren't far from the Plaza Vecchio. Yeah.
So.
Which is funny because I think you were living there when I did that show. It was 2016.
Yeah.
So I came close to meeting you guys at one point. So.
Yeah. Came very close. It's amazing. Small world. Yeah. Oh, that's I love that. I love it. It gets me excited because, like, I think about my vision and how my vision's not like full blown, dancers or choreography. It's with a band. If I have dancers, I might get like 2 or 3.
If you have a full band, if you ever want to do a show with a band, count me in. I'll come direct it. If you bring the dancers, I don't know. Yeah. Usually, like because now we've grown as a company, so like. There's talks, I can't mention her name, but there's a very big pop star on tour this summer, and my partners want to do a TV special with her. So if we do get that show, I won't direct it. I'll probably bring Hamish in or Paul Dugdale, one of the other directors, that really do a great job with shows like that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've established what your limits are.
Yeah, I know exactly.
So that's good.
I'm the big rock show guy. That's
the big rock show guy, and that's amazing. Yeah. All right. Your turn, Clara. Andrea Bocelli with ice skaters. That's crazy.
It was nuts.
That sounds absolutely nuts. I kind of want to see that.
In addition to your music productions, you also have produced some groundbreaking documentaries. Which ones are you most passionate about?
So it's interesting. So I delved into documentary in 2011. First documentary I ever got involved in. I was an executive producer on a film called The Square, which is about the Egyptian Revolution. And what a great way to start, because I worked with probably the most talented and best people in the industry. And that film went on to be nominated for an Academy Award. It won 3 Emmys. It won Sundance. It won Toronto. It won like every major film festival. It's really talented director, Jahan Najim directed it. But just being part of that process is interesting to see. And so I got the documentary bug right out the gate. And, it's interesting because you can, and the motto of that film, they actually, for the Oscar campaign, they had an old 8mm camera, and they took a gun and they modeled it in the 8mm camera. And then the motto was, the camera is our weapon. And you realize like the power of filmmaking. So I started really thinking about things like, God, I do all this fun stuff, but if I can take my knowledge and my talent and now help tell stories, that will make a difference, because we live in a visual world. Like, you guys grew up in a visual world. You guys are used to watching YouTube and all the social media videos. I mean, people had a meltdown last weekend because TikTok went down for 24 hours, and because we're so used to getting that visual thing. So I'm like, wow, if I can go into that world and tell stories. So next thing you know, like, I'm involved in dozens of docs. It's now about 25% of our business. Like I said before, I have 2 more Hazing films coming out right now. I also have a doc we're finishing about exchange student programs and the danger of that. I just finished another doc that Clara came to the premiere for, about the dog meat industry in South Korea.
Yeah.
So, being able to use your talent and connections to maybe make a difference, far more meaningful than doing Russian Rio. Although Russian Rio is fun, it's fun to go to the but it's cooler to do a doc. So the docs have more meaning for me. So I'm hoping that in the next year, my company, we eventually become even, like 50% music and 50% documentary.
Yeah.
That's
great. You better still keep the music part, please.
Yeah,
for my sake.
It's funny. I will. It's now, and I realize at one point, they always say you never know what you have till it's gone. Mm-hmm. And when the pandemic hit, remember, the first things to go down, as were live music, and the last thing to come back was live music. So we didn't have it for 3 years, and then I really realized, God, I take this for granted. I have a really cool job, and so when I formed 10 Lives, my new company, trust me, I don't take this for granted any day. I mean, this is like really cool. I have the best job in the world, and we have a lot of fun, and we get to work with people who are very influential. So it's it's not a bad gig.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. I love it. So awesome. All right. So, I'd love to learn a little bit more about the logistics behind, concert production. Obviously, and concert like documentary production or concert film production. obviously you can't give me, I'm not going to ask you to give me the full-blown rundown of how everything works because the logistics are wild. But I think about, my experience on American Idol, and I know you said you don't do reality shows, but it's a very similar approach. When I went into the audition room, it looks like a room that's like this big, but it's like 5 times as big. It's like a full-blown hotel like thing, and it looks like it's just an intimate room, and you're there with just the judges and you. It's like 4 people in a room, but there's like 50 people, like they're like sitting at desks jotting notes with a bunch of them holding cameras and a bunch of angles, and it sounds like so much like logistics, and I'm sure you've probably figured most of it out by now.
so that stuff we do. So
yeah.
So American Idol is considered variety television.
Yeah.
So that's in my bucket.
Yeah.
Same as concerts. So a lot of my crew works on American Idol.
Yeah.
And we use the same TV truck, same cameras, same cameramen.
Yeah.
So I would feel very comfortable. In fact, I've been on set on an Idol a few times, so that is our world. So we work a couple different ways. So I would say 60% of the time we're filming a concert that's already there. So like Alicia Keys, as we were just talking about, that show, that was Alicia's tour. We did shoot a movie around it, but the concert itself, she was already on tour. That concert was planned. It was being promoted by Live Nation.
Right.
We just rolled our cameras in our TV truck, and we just documented what's there. I put 28 cameras in the room, pointed it at the show, and that's it.
Yeah.
I have a TV series too called Landmarks Live, and when we do big one-off shows, like if we're specifically doing something to film, we do everything. So like when I did Foo Fighters at the Acropolis, we were everything. We were the promoter. I had to put the entire thing together, where from the staging to figure out how to put a stage in the Acropolis without destroying it, to all the camera equipment, so our crew there was a few hundred. I mean, the largest crew I've ever had, I did Kiss in Dubai on New Year's Eve in 2020, and our crew was almost 850 people.
Yeah.
And that was a little over a $10 million production, and it took us like 6 weeks just to build the stage.
Yeah.
But so those shows are obviously a little more stressful when you have 800 people working for you in the middle of a pandemic.
Especially if you're trying to turn the Acropolis into a music venue.
Yeah, that was, well, what's funny on that, we met with like the Minister of Antiquities and Minister of Culture, and one of the big concerns with the Foo Fighters there is they had shows here and there at the Acropolis, but they never did a full-blown rock concert, and they were worried that the vibrations were going to somehow damage the theater. And so we had like archaeologists working with us. If we want to place like a speaker or a light somewhere, someone else had to tell us it's okay. I mean, everything was like layered on how we do it. And then add in, there was some security threats. I think we had it was either Al Qaeda or ISIS threat.
Oh my
and
God.
we had to spruce up security. It was just a really difficult shoot to do.
Yeah.
And then, so on top of me directing, there's actually a great making of that's in our reel, but on top of me having to worry about how I'm going to direct the show and produce it for TV, I'm now worried about bombs and how to get people in and out. And it was just like, it's a lot of extra pressure. So depending on what type of show it is, we have sometimes all the responsibility or sometimes just a little piece. Obviously we prefer just to roll into an existing show and bang it out and leave. Nothing's our problem. But when we take everything on, it's a whole nother animal.
So you said that what's on Wikipedia about you is not entirely accurate.
Yeah, I don't even know who even put that page together. It says I'm a concert promoter. I mean,
so that was my question. Are you a promoter?
No, I mean, I did. I promoted for a brief period of time when I had the theater and when I was obviously in college, but that's like less than 1% of my career. Like I don't really promote shows. Like even when we do them for TV, like even the Foo Fighters and all these other shows for Landmarks, what is that? Sounds like we're being attacked. But we didn't charge tickets. It was free. People were there for the concert or for the TV show. So it wasn't like I was out there promoting it and advertising and selling tickets. So, but it's funny how they refer to me. And then it points out like I had a record label for like a blip of a second, like a year and a half, where I got my butt kicked. I lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
I thought because I was mastering music DVDs, I thought the record industry would be easy. Oh my God. Lost my butt on that. That was in 2005. But like it's right on my Wikipedia page. Like I'm in the record business. I had the record label like a year and a half. And it was like in 2005.
Yeah.
But it's just very weird. Yeah. And I've tried to go on there before and correct it.
Yeah.
And then I get thrown off by Wikipedia administrators saying, you can't contribute to your own page. I'm like, okay, well, will someone do it? Because this isn't true.
Yeah. But concert promotion, I guess I don't really fully understand what that is, and obviously since you're not a promoter,
well,
I wouldn't think to ask you about that.
I could tell you what it is. I mean,
yeah,
it's everything from renting the venue to contracting with the artists, and then you're responsible for everything, fulfilling the artist riders, so making sure all the lights and sound, and then you sell tickets.
Right.
So it's kind of doing everything to put the show on, and then you make money by selling tickets.
Yeah.
And hopefully you sell enough to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And there's money left over.
So what is Foo Fighters at the Acropolis then? Like, was this, you said you were pretty instrumental in setting that whole thing up.
It was my concept. So
that was your concept?
Yeah, so that was a TV series called Landmarks. And the concept of it, we would go around the world and we'd do these epic shows at big locations. And so I came up with the idea to maybe do the Foo Fighters at the Acropolis. And so when the band said yes, we cut a deal with the Greek government to get the venue. And then we had to do all the infrastructure. But the difference was we didn't sell tickets. So we weren't trying to make money on tickets. The whole purpose of the show was to shoot for TV.
Yeah.
So we were technically the promoter. Promoters also are known as the people that are responsible for the safety of the fans that were there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a for-profit concert. The whole the way we're going to make money was on TV.
It was all through the TV. So that makes sense. Thank you.
That was an epic show too.
I've seen footage from it. I legitimately have,
cool.
and I love the Foo Fighters, and I love that looks like so much fun. I'm gonna go home and watch that.
Yeah.
I am a avid concert footage watcher, and
I can send you some.
Please do. It's because I there are people that watch Netflix all the time, and my parents are watching the documentary side of things, but I'm watching the concerts, and I find it on YouTube, and I somehow. And
who's your favorite artist? Because I know you play piano and sing.
Yeah.
But who's your favorite artist?
My biggest influence, for sure, by far throughout my life, has been Coldplay. And,
nice.
And I've seen a couple of their documentaries.
Did you go to the last show, the last tour?
Yes. No, the
tour that they're,
ones, yeah.
It's funny, they're technically still, they've been on tour for like 4 years on the same tour.
So yes.
It's remarkable.
They actually invited me to that one.
Oh my God.
Chris Martin saw my American Idol performance and said,
wow.
and sent me a message, and I was like, God, Chris Martin knows who I am.
That's all of it.
That's probably like the biggest, like, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me moment ever. I loved that so much. And then the team invited me to their show at the Rose Bowl. And,
oh my God.
And it was and I got some good seats. I didn't get to meet him, but I got some great seats, and it just was insane.
The show was unbelievable, right?
Insane experience, and I love watching that. And I know they have their thing at the River Plate in Argentina, and
my friend Paul Dugdale did that.
Yeah, great. I'm sure it's so fun. I love Coldplay and their mission and what they do, and their environmental concerns and the people they work with. And
do you see the bikes they had in the back?
The bikes, the energy-powered bike. Have you heard of this? They Coldplay, they're trying to make their concerts as eco-friendly as possible, which is amazing because now it's like the highest-grossing rock band tour ever, I think, right?
Or they have bikes in the back there.
Yeah, they have bikes and people ride them, and it helps power the show.
They try to reduce their carbon imprint, so they try to give back as much electricity as they're given.
Exactly. They have that. They have the kinetic dance floors that are powered by people jumping.
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
But they come out. So most concerts are structured a very specific way. You're supposed to build and have an arc and then save, like, if you have pyrotechnics or some big lights, usually artists save it for the end for big hits.
Yeah.
They came out like
doing it from the get-go.
Confetti, I mean, just blowing right out the gate, and I was like, wow. I mean, it's like the first song looked like the finale. It was just amazing.
The glow bands and everything, like the
Highly recommend.
Yeah, the interlude that goes into Higher Power. Bum, bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum. Oh my God, I could nerd out about this all day. This is like my favorite thing in the world. I love watching concert footage and just like pinpointing everything, thoroughly studying everything. You know.
So I did a poet, a spoken word poet named NQ. We shot him at in downtown LA at the Ace Theater.
Yeah.
And Chris showed up at the show.
Yeah.
And he came and like, I remember like we're all having fun in the TV truck, like this looks great. And I turned around and Chris Martin's standing right behind me. And, I'm like, and then he hung out after the show for a while.
Oh my
but
God.
I was like, and it was a weird audience. We had Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
I forget who Chris came with, but he just showed up at the show. Like I guess he's friends with Adam, who's that's NQ's real name.
Yeah.
So it was like my one encounter with him. But a lot of directors like me, we all have artists that we work with.
Yeah.
So like I could never do a good job with Coldplay as like Paul. Like that film they did was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I'll just enjoy watching him do it. Would I love to produce that one day? Yeah, I'd love to produce it. I'll let him direct it, but it's just a show like that you can't make look bad. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Clara, do you envision your exhibitions having like lots of color? Like okay.
Oh.
How do I phrase that question? Obviously they already do. But like I'm talking about like what if you had an exhibition that was kind of like a similar approach to Coldplay somehow?
Ooh.
In terms of like a lot of color accompanying the artwork and stuff like that. Nice.
You should do one of those. What city do they do that where they throw like the dust on each other? They have the festival.
The Holy Festival?
I don't know. It's a festival where like people throw colored.
Yeah,
dust
that's
on
the
each other.
Holy Festival. I think
we should throw paint on each other.
Yeah, in like India. So.
Although if you show up at Clara's house at the end of the day, her and Carlo come out of the garage covered in paint.
Yeah.
So it looks like they did that.
Yeah. So
You can always tell.
Carlo would have to contribute big time to it because he is the master of that. But anyways, I would so go to all of those. But I'll probably go to any anyway. That's pretty great. I first met Clara in Laguna Beach at that. I think probably the same exhibition. Yeah,
because you performed too. I think.
I did. Yeah,
you did
it was
it
was in 2022, so it was like 2.5 years ago. I remember that pretty vividly. Remember that? That was fun. What? You don't remember this? You don't?
Wow. It's the place you met both of us, and you don't remember it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we left that kind of impact on you.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. No, but you remember Lavinia Constantino, right? Yeah, you gotta know that, right? Whew. Yeah, and then I went and I improvised things on the piano while she was like telling your story. So okay, so yeah, you remember. You're giving yourself less credit.
I was there when you were doing that, actually.
Yeah. Okay, you know that. Yeah, you're remembering more than you realize. I know. I'm just messing with you. but yeah, no. Yeah. So I love that. It's so inspiring to hear about all of this and just how motivating it is to like fulfill my vision. And so that brings me to my next question. Who reaches out to you when they want to make a concert film, and what is their relation to the artist?
So I would say the majority, well, all right, so if it's a new client, majority of the time the managers reach out to us.
Yeah.
So managers are usually the ones that are overseeing kind of the audio visual type things with artists.
That's like who I'm trying to get like very
majority of the people I work with so I have a lot of repeat. I'm working with like there's like a bunch of artists that I work with over and over again.
Yeah.
But like for example, like you didn't come to Driver Error. No, so I did the Driver Error. Ross Lynch. He used to.
I watched that trailer. Yeah.
So,
at the Greek Theater.
So that one, Andre, their manager, reached out.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I never heard of them.
Yeah.
I did hear of R5, and obviously I knew who Ross was because my daughter grew up watching him.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I almost wasn't going to do it because we were busy, and I was on phone with him, and I was on speakerphone, and my daughter happened to be walking past. I was working at home that day. She was walking past the office. She heard it.
Yeah.
And she goes, Ross Lynch? And I said, and I put it on mute, and I said, yeah, he has a band. You have to do that. And she started telling me I had. So
Yeah.
I took the job because my daughter
That helps.
liked it, but I didn't really know it. But usually it's usually the management that reaches out, and then I would say maybe 40% of the time, because we fund projects.
Yeah.
We target like right now we're going after the Jello Roll Post Malone tour.
Yeah.
So there's things that we'll go after where we actually
you actively seek it out.
We'll actually put the money together, and then we go in with the idea saying, hey, we have this idea.
Yeah. What's the ratio of you pursuing it on your own versus other people reaching out to you?
It's like 50-50 or 60-40. I mean, it's kind of a mixture. It depends. Like, it depends if I'm hot or not at the moment. Like, directors go through waves. I think I'm going through a little wave again now where I'm like the OG kind of older guy, but I've done all these cool things because there's a lot of younger directors now that are really talented.
Yeah.
And so lately I've been getting more calls, but then there's been times where the phone didn't ring and we had to go out and find work and like go to artists with ideas. So it just really depends on, that there was a time frame like that. Those COVID years were bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. And I mean, I almost went into depression. Like literally, Clara kept me going through that because I would look forward to. They were so active. They were posting a lot.
You guys are so active.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, but it was always like good morning, like Bettina. Like it was never.
Yeah.
There was like, Bettina didn't really start posting like sad stuff or bad stuff. I think the first negative post I ever saw you post was Halloween like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. But up until then, everything was always so upbeat and everything, and it was perfect. It was perfect to see that during a time when there's so much uncertainty, and no one really knew. Because then also, the way I filled my void during the pandemic is there was no concerts going, so I was working really heavily in the hazing stuff.
Yeah.
So here I am, already depressed because my whole company basically got decimated by a pandemic. And then I'm telling stories of kids who died.
Yeah.
So I'm like super depressed and in a dark hole. And then I would just go on Instagram or TikTok and boom, there Clara would be.
Yeah.
And so it was.
I had a similar reaction and I was like, wait a minute, they're in Orange County. And so that's when I actively went out of my way. In case you haven't figured it out by now, you have a pretty darn good impact on people. So we're just going to shower you with all the love in the world, but because you deserve it. But this is incredible, man. I love hearing about this so much. I'm so deeply passionate about that too. And I love that you guys have the passion with the ice cream. I want to hear about how were you the ultimate bridge that had helped her to meet Alicia Keys?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so so obviously I invite them to all my shows, but we had that show coming up and I was like, you guys should come meet Alicia. Alicia and her husband Swiss are really big art collectors.
Yeah.
I mean, really big. I mean, they have a massive art collection. And so it was great. So Clara got to come to the show. And it was really cool. It was the last date on the tour. So we had a bunch of things that were a little nutty. One, last date of a big tour. So that's usually like a crazy night anyway, but in LA.
Yeah.
So, and she lives here now. So Alicia lives down in La Jolla. So kind of
so she
last night of the tour, kind of hometown gig for her, a lot of friends and family and people. So it was already a busy night, but really cool. She had a party going on, but we went to a private room and I was able to bring her in where she could spend time with Clara. It was really cool. And Clara got to give her a painting. It was pretty wild, but yeah, and they were really appreciative of it.
Would you say that was a core memory? Yeah. Yeah.
She was so stressed because things were chaotic. It was kind of funny. So that show, I almost couldn't direct it. I had another show the week before. I did a thing with Johnny Depp in Boston, and I came down with COVID.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I had COVID. I thought I had the flu.
Yeah,
and then,
it's the
3 days before, all of a sudden, oh my God, I tested positive for COVID. So I went into isolation, and I kept checking. I was testing like over and over again.
Yeah.
And then crazy enough, like 2 o'clock in the morning the night before, I tested negative, and I tested again in the morning. I'm like, I'm negative. And so I bolted out, but I was still kind of a little under the weather.
Yeah.
But it was a little chaotic when they got there, and I only had like 2 passes, and I think we needed 4.
Yeah.
And but it was like sound check was going on. There were things that were going on, so I couldn't get them right away. So Clara was like freaking out. She was super stressed that I was like, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry, I can do the. But it was just a matter of me getting a hold of like the head of security and people and to get them in, and we finally worked it all out. But I know she was super stressed when she first got there.
That sounds like an adventure.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Yeah. It's freaking Alicia Keys. It better be worth it. It better be worth it.
You had to meet. I mean, it was cool to meet all the Idol people. I mean, that was.
It was amazing. I loved working with all of them. They were all so nice. Lionel Richie, though, in particular.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lionel.
He
doesn't age.
He doesn't age, and his kindness doesn't wither.
Yeah.
He truly was everybody's proud dad, proud uncle, grandpa. Just he was so intrinsically motivated by everybody and what everybody had to offer. And when I went on there, he saw the artistry in me before Katie and Luke did, I think.
I think wasn't he closing his eyes when you were saying?
Yeah, he was like, oh, God. I think he was like punching the air.
That's kind of cool. You got Lionel Richie to punch the air.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's the best. That's the best thing, making the stank face. And I'm just like,
he was in the Commodores.
Yeah, dude, the stank face, the Commodores, dude. This dude, oh my God. They were all so lovely, but Lionel really, really stood out in terms of just the kindness and the sheer emotion and that I felt from him, and he saw something in me from the get-go. And then I think through him, Katie and Luke were able to warm up to me just great. And I visited them again after I had gotten eliminated. Because I live here in Southern California, so they were doing the live shows, and the staff invited me to come back, as just a guest to watch. And I did, and I got to see all my friends and surprise all my friends. And then I ran into Katy Perry again. She's like, "Oh my God, Aiden, dude, how you doing?" And I'm just talking to her she's like just a fun people. She's like, "Did you see that Chris Martin messaged you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, isn't that crazy?" But I'm like, I forget that I'm talking to literally Katy Perry.
By the way, I've been doing this 35 years, and every day I still forget sometimes.
Yeah, but it's a good thing to forget too, because they're people straight, deep down, and
you may not realize it now.
Yeah.
Or maybe you realize by now, but I know a lot of people that have gone through either The Voice or American Idol, and then they really are broken after they get eliminated.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much that prepared you now for a career in music. Going the pressure and everything you went through, and that you're still going.
Yeah.
One day you're going to be like, God, if I didn't do Idol, that I would never have been ready for what I'm dealing with now. Yeah. I mean, because it's really, it's.
That's good to know.
People don't realize how crazy that is.
Logistical nightmares going everywhere, not knowing, having a plan for things that will happen, but not knowing when they will happen, and who's going to be. It's just it's. So I can't imagine your situation, I know my limits. My limits are not going anywhere near your profession in terms of my own pursuits.
It's look, I mean, it's really cool to be surrounded with people. Unfortunately for Clara, most big artists are either really eccentric or a lot of the more famous ones are not living anymore. It's very hard to be in a community, but actually around Laguna, it's really easy to be around artists, that you look up to. But, it's pretty wild. I look back, I start to look at my career differently now. During the pandemic, we were all, remember everybody was in board games and stuff. So my sister's worked for me now for 26 years.
Yeah.
So she's been through it all. And Shelly came down to visit us. We're all playing Monopoly. And I remember we had Sonos on, at one of the Sirius XM channels, and all of a sudden we sat there and we're like, wait a minute. The past hour and a half, I think I worked with every band that was just on, all in a row. And we started going back and forth. We're Audio Slave, Rage Against the Machine. We started going, Jesus, and then you start to, that's pretty cool when you think about it. Wow. And then that you're able to collaborate with people on that level. Yeah. And, it is a scary thing, though. There's a saying in the industry, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone doesn't turn out to be what you think they are, and that's pretty disappointing.
I see.
But when you meet someone that you looked up to, it's amazing.
It's still amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
but you know, especially if you only like, you know, you go like I saw like she met people I'm dying to meet. Like I always want to meet Gary Vee.
Yeah, that's pretty
you know,
amazing.
that was pretty cool. I mean, like, you know, because, and I like when I'm doing my hazing stuff, we spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. because the parents were lobbying for a bill that ended up getting passed. But we would, you know, I'd be in a room with like Amy Klobuchar and like all these like senators, and to be around people who actually, you know, run the country and like create laws. To me, I geek out more on that than if I'm in a room with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I thought that was pretty cool to see that. But like,
definitely.
you know, Gary Vee's doing such great things, and the fact he knew who Clara was, that's pretty wild. I mean, you know.
We've had our fair share of celebrity encounters, Clara. It's been pretty cool. My most recent one is this person who is an 18-year-old, and she's pretty badass. Her name is Clara Woods.
Yeah. She's like, what? Well, you are a celebrity. I mean,
in a way. I find it.
I mean, her followers are crazy.
You guys have an insane following. It's crazy. They have an insane following. Like the people I know through like Idol or through like Love on the Spectrum. I was not on that show, but I have so many direct connections who are on the Love on the Spectrum reality show, and so it's just it's so amazing. It's how small the world can be. I do have one more question that I'm dying to ask you, but you probably do as well.
I'm scared what button she's going to press.
Yes. What button are you going to press? Which area of your thought process that you have been thoroughly scanning for a very long time?
It's been rumored that you have a few superstitions and rituals that you follow for each show. Did you bring new sneakers and Godzilla today?
So
this is definitely some sort of inside joke.
No, it's not. It's so, you know, I have OCD.
Yeah.
And it always shifts around, but for a solid, I don't know, maybe 15 years now. So remember I told you the first show I ever directed was that Etta James show, and I was really nervous.
Yeah.
She was very intimidating to me because she was an icon. I really didn't know what I was doing. So I quickly had 6 vodka cranberries before the show, and I had Ocean Spray cranberry, it was red Solar cups, and Kettle One vodka. And the show came out great, and obviously I told you I got nominated for a Grammy, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's why. So for the next like 4 years, every show I did, I had 6 vodka cranberries and red Solar cups. And it got to the point of like insanity where like I did Alter Bridge in Amsterdam when we couldn't find Ocean Spray cranberry, and I flew someone in from London with it because if it wasn't Ocean Spray, I was convinced that the show was going to collapse. And I realized this is probably not healthy that I'm drinking 6 vodka cranberries before every show. And the one time when I couldn't find the Ocean Spray, it was actually doing Alicia Keys, believe it or not. We were doing something in Harlem for it was very around the time I filmed the Landmarks thing, and I had new sneakers though on.
Yeah.
And everything went well, and then I'm like, well, maybe I don't need the vodka and cranberry. Maybe it's my sneakers. And so I went to this thing where for now, every time I do a show, I have to buy new sneakers.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it, what I started doing like 6-7 years ago, I get the artist to sign them.
Yeah.
So, and I only wear them once. So right before the show, I go to the artist and they all sign it. And then I wear it during the show and I take them off right after. And then it goes in a box in a special closet I have at home.
Yeah.
So now I have over 100 pairs of like Air Jordans. And they're signed by everybody from like the Foo Fighters, the Dave Matthews Band. It's pretty wild. And so, and I write the show on the sole. I'll write like the date of the show and where.
Yeah.
And I only wear them one time. And then I had this, and then the Godzilla thing was Shelly, my assistant, bought me this Godzilla thing. I think it was like in 2004 or something like, or 5.
Yeah.
And I placed it in front of me at every show. And then it was part of that superstition thing that I always need Godzilla there. So we literally have a case and Godzilla travels no matter where we are in the world, and he's always in front of me. And the funny thing is it's like half mangled because Shelly's dog ripped its arm off and leg off. So it's kind of like mangled, but we have this this Godzilla doll now that has literally traveled the world like 10 times, and it's always there. And it's got that too. I had one time where we forgot it, and I literally put someone on an airplane with the doll. I mean, I just like, I have little quirks. It's gotten to be kind of funny now.
Well, at least you're able to get people to and you have the money to get people to do these
well, that's why
things.
the Josephs are the perfect partners for me, because
Yeah.
they're such a quirky family.
Yeah.
And they laugh at stuff like this. Whereas like in the past when I've had investment bankers, they're like,
Yeah.
they don't understand creatives. They're like, oh my God.
And they're like, no, I will literally sell my soul for you to give me this
But
right now.
I'm sure you two have quirks. I'm sure you paint a certain way or set up a certain way each time. I'm sure you before you perform, you have to do something.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, like I just.
It's all part of the neurodivergence.
Yeah,
man.
right. And so like I just have like, so now I just have this thing, like I buy, I mean, I'm proactive too. Like we were over the holiday, we were out in New Jersey, and I saw a special pair of Jordans I liked, and they're on sale for like $100. And I was like, what are you doing? You just got a pair of sneakers last week. I go, I'm going to buy them for my next show.
Yeah.
So I'm pre-buying them now, and I put them in my closet. So I have whenever I direct again, I have the next pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, whatever works for you, man.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. What really sucks is if we have a multi-day shoot, I'll get a new pair every day.
Yeah, man.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. But hey, I mean, you're in the position where you can absolutely do that given your profession and what you're doing. So who am I to judge, man? Who am I to judge? That is so awesome. Clara, are there any other last-minute burning questions you have that we haven't covered yet? Oh, I accidentally got
How is their screen not going black?
I accidentally changed this off. There we go.
Just close your eyes and press one of them.
Yeah.
If you had one single message to share with the world, what would it be?
That's the one. Yeah.
Ooh, that's deep. I mean, you know, look, I'm not trying to sound political right now or whatever, but you know, if you notice, like in my career, I'm starting to use my talent and stuff to try to do things that bring people together. One thing I always loved about music is it was the universal language, right?
Yeah.
It's something that it doesn't matter where you are, everybody feels it and hears it the same way, and it doesn't matter whether you're in Korea or France. If there's a song that's in English, everybody sings it the same way, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of live my life like that now. I try to do things that bring people closer together because we're in a really divided world. I mean, yesterday was pure insanity, and it looks like it's getting worse again today. And so if we could all do things, if everybody can wake up every morning and try to do something that at least does one thing to help bring people together and forget about all the insanity and all the divisiveness, you know, that's great. I mean, you know, people look at art and get that special feeling, they get inspired and they daydream, and one thing I love about art is when you go around a room and you talk to people, everybody interprets a painting in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Music's great.
So great.
Music's like, I don't know where I would be in my life without music. Music has been such a big part of my life. And it got me through so many tough moments. And so, you know, if people can just focus and do more things on helping bring people together and seeing where we're alike rather than different. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I love what you guys are doing too. So
I live by that. We're more alike than different.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I try my best even now. Like, you know, it's very hard. I have a 13-year-old. I have a 20-year-old and a 13, but my 13-year-old, it's a very tough time to raise a son because, you know, when they see their president saying crazy things and sparking all this business, like he set us back a long way yesterday with some of the things he did. You know, you guys are doing a podcast called Inclusion Matters. Mm-hmm. I think what happened yesterday is a travesty for that because, you know, we're finally getting to a point where everybody looks at each other, you know, you know, and people don't see each other as different, but then they're going out of their way to make us feel different and, you know, and treat people differently. So I think we all have to be aware of that, and everybody has to try to do our best to go the other direction. Don't listen to all the nuttiness. And so, I mean, I live by that now. I mean, everything I do, I try to do stuff with meaning right now.
Yeah.
And so I hope you guys continue to do this as well, because
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's great. I'm excited for us to keep going. My mind is constantly just bursting with just knowledge and excitement over the knowledge with each person we've had so far. Yeah, and that pretty much answered my last question, which I think is going to become kind of a tradition on this podcast. Why does inclusion matter to you? And yeah, and in a way, you kind of already answered it.
I was very lucky. I was adopted.
Yeah.
And so my parents, the way they treated it, I was adopted when I was 2 months old, but I knew I was adopted as long as I can remember. And they always made me, like, we used to celebrate my adoption anniversary like it's my birthday, and like, to make me feel special because I was chosen. But the way I was raised with love and everything, I never saw anybody around me. I never saw black or white or Asian. I never saw people with disabilities. Everybody's just people to me, right? And
I'm very lucky I was raised that way too.
And so it really shocks me when you go to some places in the world that are a little more closed-minded on how they don't see that way, because it took me a long time, and I'm 53 because I really couldn't grip it. Like, why is this person different to you? Or like, why are you even, it just, and so I think as I get older, and maybe I don't have her platform. My God, if I had Clara's platform, I would be a terror. I would be crazy. I mean, if I had that many people that I can, but when I do make my films and stuff, lots of, millions of people see our videos and stuff. So I figure if I can, and I don't try to force my opinions on people, right? Mm-hmm. But I do want people to be more open-minded. Yeah. And because some of the most creative forces in the world and everything are people who are different. Being different is actually cool. I don't think it's I don't like the word disability. I hate bullies. I hate people that don't accept other people, and and so like everybody's all up in arms about DEI programs and stuff like that. Well, if everybody was just more open-minded, we wouldn't need that.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you just treat everybody as equals or the same, then we wouldn't need stuff like that. So for me, and maybe we're spoiled because we live in California, and people here are generally more open-minded.
Yeah.
But, there's places in the world and in the country that are just down out scary, where people just have blinders on. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And they don't want to, I'm sure you've dealt with it before. I'm married. My wife is Asian.
Yeah.
I visited, I'll never forget, first time we went to Mississippi to visit her brother, because her brother moved there, and we had a weird moment.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how people don't accept people. If you're happy, then you're happy.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's
what it's all about.
But with music, it doesn't matter who's singing, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So why can't everybody feel the same way about everything in life as they do about music?
Mm-hmm.
That's
universal language shouldn't always just be music.
Yeah.
Should be other things too. But music and art are the way to get there. We're making a difference.
You guys are.
You're making a difference.
No, you guys are. I mean, we're all artists. I mean, we just a different way. I'm obviously film. You're on paper or canvas, or actually you paint on it. She paints on everything.
Yeah, you paint on neckties.
Yes. And sneakers.
And sneakers. I love it. Painting on everything. And I'm going to want to hear a really cheesy pun or joke. You paint colors in people's soul.
I don't know if that's I don't know if she's laughing at your face or she's
no,
happy about it.
It's okay. We're quirky. We both understand. You're good. You don't me. Folks, that definitely was amazing and further encapsulates our mission of inclusion mattering big time.
Yeah.
We are your hosts, Aiden Boyer and Clara Woods. This is Daniel Catullo. Feel free to check him out and his work, and feel free to check us out and our work. And I know but it's a beautiful conversation. I learned so much today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Never forget, folks, inclusion matters. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.